Namibia is a land of deserts, mountains, and ancient silence. But for most of the 20th century, that silence was broken by the weight of two empires. First, Germany, whose brutal colonial rule led to the Herero and Nama genocide. Then, after Germany's defeat, came South Africa, bringing its harsh system of apartheid onto Namibian soil. But the people of Namibia did not bow. They endured. They waited. And eventually, they rose. In 1960, in the town of Windhoek, a movement was born. Its name was SWAPO, the Southwest Africa People's Organization. At its head stood a determined young man, Sam Nujoma. SWAPO believed in a simple truth. Namibia belonged to Namibians. While the world looked away, SWAPO traveled to the United Nations, demanding justice. They marched, they organized, they resisted. And when peaceful pleas were ignored, they turned to armed struggle. On August 26, 1966, at a place called Omugulumbash, the first shots of the Namibian War of Independence were fired. SWAPO's military wing, PLAN, the People's Liberation Army of Namibia, had begun its long fight. 4 decades, guerrilla fighters lived in the wilderness. They walked barefoot for miles across burning desert plains. They slept under trees, hid in caves, crossed borders into Angola, and fought South Africa's mighty army, one of the strongest on the continent. But what SWAPO lacked in weapons, they made up in sheer resilience. Every fallen comrade strengthened their resolve. Every village bombed became a symbol of their suffering and their unbreakable spirit. South Africa fought ruthlessly to maintain control. Leaders were jailed on Robben Island. Villages were raided. Families separated. Children grew up knowing only war. But apartheid could not crush the will of a people who refused to disappear. From refugee camps in Angola and Zambia to students protesting in Windhoek, the Namibian struggle lived in every heart. The late 1980s changed everything. Across southern Africa, liberation movements were rising. Cold War alliances were shifting. International pressure mounted on South Africa. And after years of negotiation and unimaginable sacrifice, the world finally acted. The United Nations demanded free elections. Cuban and South African troops withdrew from Angola. For the first time in history, Namibia stood on the threshold of freedom. On March 21, 1990, Namibia became the last African country to gain independence in the 20th century. Under the night sky of Windhoek, the Namibian flag rose for the very first time. Blue for the sky, green for the land, red for the blood of struggle. Sam Nujoma, the man who had led SWAPO through exile, war, and diplomacy, became the nation's first president. Namibia was finally free. A freedom earned through resilience, unity, and decades of unshakable determination. They fought from the deserts and won against the odds. Like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful African liberation stories.